We are live at the final round of the Masters, and Ben Crenshaw leads by 1, but knocks it over the green at 7. Crenshaw by 1 over Davis Love III and Jay Haas. What a final round ahead.
I came to CBS 45 years ago in 1950. I'll never forget the day 5 years later when my network announced that it had agreed with Augusta National Golf Club to televise for the first time its Masters tournament. Augusta and CBS have been together now for 40 years, a history that goes back to that first televised tournament in 1956. Augusta National Golf Club. It's a place where beauty and tradition have come together and given fans a lifetime of memories. In 1956, CBS Sports brought the Masters into the homes of millions through the wonder of television. "40 years ago, Jackie Burke won the first televised Masters. But 2 years later, golf on television would be changed forever. Along with his army, the camera found Arnold, and Arnold found the camera.
Arnold Palmer is the Masters champion.
Palmer would go on to win the green jacket 4 times. It's a love affair that has lasted 4 decades. And no man has dominated the Masters like Jack Nicklaus.
Up the hill.
Did you ever see one like that? Maybe. Yes, sir!
Over the past 40 years, the Masters has provided some of the greatest moments in sports television.
Got a chance, yes! There's your champion.
Slow now. But that's one of the greatest putts I've ever seen.
How's that look? Oh! There it is. Can you believe it? Got it. That's a wonderful putt.
Together, we have watched the greatest champions in golf march triumphantly into history. The Masters on CBS.
From the Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia, CBS Sports proudly presents the 1995 Masters Tournament.
Welcome to springtime. Augusta, your dogwoods and pines, they play on my mind like a song. Dave Loggins wrote those words that ring so true. It is for the 3rd straight day so breathtakingly beautiful. The blossoming azaleas have reached their zenith, and the final round is underway. Under ideal conditions for the 3rd straight day. Speaking of ideal conditions, how about the leaderboard here? Ben Crenshaw leads by 1. What a final day shootout we have in store. And Davis Love III was 3 under on the front. He's at 10 under, only 1 back. Jay Haas is at 10 and Greg Norman at 9 under. Now let's get back to the Crenshaw situation at 7. This is 3rd shot. And it off a birdie at 6. Crenshaw will have that putt for par. Meanwhile, over at 8, Jay Haas, and that ties the lead. Jay Haas joins Ben Crenshaw at 11 under as we come on the air. Haas out of Wake Forest, Ben Crenshaw, former champion here at 11 under. Davis Love 1 back, Greg Norman also charging today. There's Curtis Strange. He's rebounded after a slow start. 9 under for Curtis Strange. Frost at 8. Fred Couples, even with a double bogey, still in the picture at 8 under. Steve Elkington's given 1 back. Brian Henniker, co-leader at the 54-hole mark with Crenshaw. has lost 2 strokes to par. He's at -8 with Kenny Perry having a big day. Phil Mickelson also suffered an early double bogey at 6, and Scott Hoch's at 7 under. Then Hale Irwin and John Huston. Jose Maria Olazabal, who won it last year at -4 with Watson, Corey Pavin, and Duffy Waldorf, and then Azinger, Montgomery, and Faxon. It all got underway on Thursday. In the mist, almost surreal conditions as you saw the names of Sarazen, Nelson, and Snead gathered along with Augusta National Chairman Jack Stevens, the honorary starters. And on the 60-year anniversary of the Squire's victory, he hit the first shot. And folks, it was right down the middle. Next, Sam Snead. Caught it so flush, he knocked it to the top of the hill. Byron Nelson vowed that next year he'll hit a shot at one.
This tournament. We hope that you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Always a great scene. The pairings for the final round, the long hitters, Norman and Love together. Then it's Frost and Huston. As we move closer to the top, Haas, now the co-leader with Strange. They were college teammates. And then it's Mickelson and Scott Hoch, who also was at Wake with those other 2. A couple of Houston boys, Fred Couples, and Steve Elkington trying to become the first Australian to win the Masters. Then Henagar and Crenshaw in the final pairing. Now, we want to clear the air concerning an incident yesterday at the 15th involving Brian Henagar. Hundreds of callers from around the world spotted this. As he addressed his third shot, the ball wobbled, fluttered, if you will. But Rule 18 states that, quote, a ball is deemed to have moved if it leaves its position and comes to rest in any other place. Well, clearly, as we played it back a couple of times, as you saw, by definition, the ball never changed position. Now back at 7, here's Crenshaw with the putt for par to stay in the tie for the lead. Well, for the 40th year, so exquisitely chronicled earlier, we want to welcome you to CBS Sports coverage of the Masters. Jim Nance from the Butler cabin, where by day's end, one man will be awarded the cherished green jacket. Ben Crenshaw climbed the 18th fairway in tears in victory in 1984. It would be an equally emotional win for Crenshaw today, just 7 days after his mentor and dear friend Harvey Penick passed away at age 90. Crenshaw was a pallbearer on Wednesday and has dedicated his play this week to Mr. Penick. And Crenshaw now shares the lead with Jay Haas. We want to go back and show you some of the early action from earlier in this round. Greg Norman at the second, this for birdie. And then the Shark at the 6th. Putting from just off the green. Could this be the year for Greg Norman? Brian Henagar bogeyed the par 5 second, then faced this putt for par at 3. So Henagar retreating a bit. Fred Couples, meanwhile, this for bogey at 5, and a double there for the 92 champion. Lefty, Phil Mickelson, bogey putt at the 6th. He was long off the tee. Chip back to the front of the green, and that's a 3-putt double bogey for Phil Mickelson. Davis Love a charging here at the 8th for birdie. He made a saving putt later at the 9th for par. Crenshaw for par at 5. He was the leader alone at this point, but missing that one temporarily set him back into a tie for the lead with Davis Love the 3rd. Fred Couples, meanwhile, trying to rebound a hole later after that double. This is at 6, and that's a birdie 2. And then Crenshaw, as you recall, missing the one for par at 5. Look how he follows it up, though, like a champion. Crenshaw with a birdie at the 6th, and then a saving par at 7. And here's the stroke that wins you green jackets. Meanwhile, just moments ago as we entered this highlight package, Greg Norman at the 10th. This hole has been his nemesis through the years. Greg Norman joins the hunt at 10 under par, only one off the lead. Norman playing today with Davis Love III. And Norman chipping in from off the green. And here's his playing companion, Love, also just seconds ago for a share of the lead. Will it get there? Yes! And Davis Love joins Haas and Crenshaw. So now 3 are tired. Folks, this is going fast and furious. This is the kind of day we have in store. The final round of the Masters finds Davis Love, Jay Haas, Ben Crenshaw sharing the lead at 11 under. Greg Norman 1 behind, then Frost and Strange.
Phil Mickelson now for his birdie on the 8th hole to get him to 8 under par. Phil 1 over for the day, but working his way back up the leaderboard. Phil had the only eagle here on the 8th all tournament. And there you see our list of commentators. Vern Lundquist at 11 and 12, Tom Weisskopf at the 13th, Bobby Clampett at the 14th, Ben Wright at the 15th and 16th. I'll be at the 17th, Jim Nelford, 18th, Kenny Venturi and Jim Nance. Now Scott Hoch fixing a little ball mark on the green. This is his putt for birdie. He's only had 1 birdie on this hole in the tournament so far. That was the first day. He's bogeyed 3 holes so far, 1, 4, and 7, and birdied the first par 5 on this side, number 2. And that puts Scott Hoch at 8 under par and still very much in the thick of things. Now to 10.
Thanks, Jim. This is Peter Costas at 10, where we have David Frost, 205 yards from this back left pin placement today. Treacherous little flag placement because balls have been bouncing long and left all day long, right where Greg Norman had his. Ideal play here is to try and cut the ball a little bit into the slope of the green. Let the green help stop the ball. Well-balanced golf swing. It will come up a fraction short, but for the 10th hole, a good shot nonetheless. Absolutely beautiful scenery around here. The shadows on the green, however, do not help the players. Let's go forward to 9. Oh, let's go back to 9. I'm sorry.
Jay Haas coming out of the bunker. Both Strange and Haas hit trees off the tee and left them with 220 and 230 yard second shots. He's got a good lie. He's got a chance to play this. Get up real fast. That's a little touch of class right there. Curtis Strange was in front of the green, and I'll tell you, I've seen some difficult little chips and pitch shots, but in front of number 9 is next to impossible. So Jay Haas is 2 under through 8 holes, and Curtis Strange 1 under through 8 holes. And looks like again it is coming down to the back 9. Over to number 11.
And a view from behind the 11th. This is a par 4 playing at 455 yards. And for the most part today has been playing downwind. Now at the moment just a gentle breeze behind Greg Norman. He is at 190 yards with a downhill second shot to a hole that's cut back left 27 yards from the front. Norman, who got through the 10th with that birdie on the chip shot, now 1 off the pace. pond left.
Either way, Dick.
That's not a concern.
Shot, Greg.
Releases back in the shadows. Good shot, Greg Norman. Well, if nothing else, he's reversing a trend of the last 2 years when in each of the final rounds he shot 77 to run himself out of contention. Did finish 6th in 92. Never a winner here. Now Davis Love III, who's approaching his 31st birthday.
One pin high at 162. Down. Yeah, you're right.
April 13th.
Pick a good target and just let it go.
This is his 6th Masters. He's not had success here. His best effort ever was a tie for 25th. And of course, you know that he got in the tournament by winning in New Orleans last week. All right. The race is underway. Davis Love, you heard Jim Nance talk about Ben Crenshaw serving as a pallbearer for Harvey Penick. Among the last things Mr. Penick was told a week ago was that Davis Love had a 2-shot lead in New Orleans. He couldn't say anything, but he clapped his hands to indicate he understood. To the 8th.
Freddie Couples' second shot from 265 yards here at the uphill 535-yard par 5. He can't see it. Looks good, though. And here it comes. Keep watching. Look at this. Look at this. Oh! Almost a double eagle on the 8th hole for Freddie Couples. My goodness. To 9.
Wow. That'll move Couples to 10 under. How quick he can make up for a double bogey. Meanwhile, for par at 9.
Oh, big save. Big save.
Jay Haas.
Stay at 11 under. With Strange and Haas having 2 poor tee shots, par would be an excellent score, and he is happy with walking off here with 4.
Well, you have to update this. It seems every 30 seconds is changing that often. Love, Haas, Crenshaw, Norman, now Couples only 1 back. Frost and Strange with a bogey.
Oh, you gave that putt to Couples at 8 then, I guess.
From an inch away. Yes.
That's as close as I've seen. I've seen them made, but I've never seen one come that close. Look.
Well, 4 inches maybe.
There you
go.
That was good.
The unpredictability of Fred Couples. Meanwhile, back at 9, Phil Mickelson.
Now this is a little easier shot. He hit it off the tree. He hit the trees too, and he's 210. Now he's left-handed. He can play a big slice, but it's a lot easier than hitting a duck hook getting around those trees. It's not an easy shot, either left or right-handed. 210 yards. Trying to hit a big carve and overcooked it and put it in the bunker. Really put a big slice on that.
Let's head over to 10, Kenny.
And we're at the 10th tee. This hole called Camellia. Jay Haas with his driver. Calls for a right to left tee shot. Jay, the only player in the field 2 under par in this hole through the first 3 days. There you get just a little bit of an idea of how fast and how firm these fairways are. This hole has an elevation change of about 92, 93 feet from tee to green, so it shortens it quite a bit. Curtis Strange now. Right to left, not exactly his favorite shot. He kind of pulled that one more than he hooked it. But nonetheless, it will end up perfectly positioned. Good angle for the pin, 211.
Greg Norman for birdie. Remember, he lost a green jacket at this hole in 1987. Larry Mize chip in the playoff. My, oh my. Bit tentative. Ken?
Well, he got such a good break at 10. Vern, that chip was really going fast. It would have been about 12, 15 feet by, but this is no time to get tentative. There's too many people you have to pass.
He's far from finished at the 11th. Mountain co-leader Davis Love, and this is for the outright lead. And while he looks at that, we go back to the 8th.
Where Ben Crenshaw is looking over his second shot. He's driven it right here. It's a difficult place to drive it here. Now he really has to slice this shot around these trees. No chance to go at the green. That looks like it's perfectly played. And it is out to the middle of the fairway, where he'll have a sand wedge or a wedge to this back left pin placement. You can see the green's 40 yards long. Now to 9.
Mickelson.
Watch his big long swing. Is that any talent?
Oh. What a maestro around the greens. To 11.
That was Davis Love's bid for the lead, and he'll have to be content for a 4 at the 11th. He'll mark and give way to Greg Norman. Davis, whose record in the majors has not been exemplary, and trying to turn all that around this week. See that he missed the cut his first appearance in '88, missed last year. Best effort here, tie for 25th. He'll go ahead and complete his 4. On the day before his birth in 1964, 31 years ago, his father was in a 5-way tie for the lead at the Masters with a round of 69. Wound up finishing 34th that year. Davis stays at 11 under. And now Greg Norman trying to stay at -10. Saw in the highlight package when we came on the air, he had birdies at the 2nd, then he had the long birdie at the 6th, and the chip in at the 10th. And this is for 4. Looks like 4 feet, probably feels like 8. He'll breathe a little easier as he heads to the 12th, but he won't be able to shake the memories of a 7-iron in the creek yesterday. We go to 9.
Scott Hoch.
He has really taken a long time looking at this, because it's not only the speed. If you can count this, this will take about 10 to 12 seconds when he hits the ball. He has to aim. He probably aim right where Phil Mickelson is almost standing, which will give himself about a 20-foot break.
Now it goes over the top of the ridge. Here we go.
Going to be left. That's all you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Just a good lag.
Let's head to 8.
This has been Crenshaw's 3rd shot. You can just see just the top of the flag there. Over the hill and about 12, 13 feet short. And we've already seen a putt made there. So good recovery from Ben Crenshaw on the 8th hole. Ben's only birdied this once. This is Ben's 24th appearance at the Masters. Of course, the '84 champion and twice runner-up in '76 and '83. 10 top 10 finishes. wonderful record. Back to 12.
View from behind the green.
9-yarder down the hill. Now you got a 160. Well, that's kind of what I felt. It's 154 carry at your target right over the middle of the bunker. That's perfect.
Well, they're playing it as they should, right over the middle of the bunker, 154 to carry it. The hole measuring 162. Davis Love.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Hard right.
That's not a bad play. Back to 10.
Jay Haas, 170 yards. Took an unbelievable amount of time trying to make his club selection. That means he was between clubs.
Hit hard. Go.
And it hits a little too softly to take enough of a kick. He will have a tremendously hard-breaking putt from there to 9.
Mickelson for par.
Good save by that bunker.
1 over on the front to 12.
Greg Norman. Even on the par 3s so far this week. Yesterday he got a terrific bogey here. 7-iron caught by the wind into the creek. Pitched on and 1-putted. Just a bit too strong. And you wonder if he wasn't compensating with the swing tempo then for what happened yesterday. Greg Norman only a shot back. A 3-way tie in the final round of the 95 Masters with Love and Haas and Crenshaw.
Crenshaw's putt on its way and never had enough steam. So that par at the 8th hole will keep him in a tie for the lead at 11 under par. Ben not having great luck on the par 5s here this week. There's his position by round, tied for 16 after the first, tied for 4th, and now tied for the lead in the last 2. Brian Henniker on the 8th hole now. He's birdied this hole every day. He's also birdied the 9th hole a couple times. Now to 9 quickly.
Fred Couples in the bunker.
His tee shot was in a divot. Hello. He was only 120 yards from the hole, but was in a divot. Pull a little bit, but great recovery.
Back to 8.
Henagar for his birdie, or for his par, excuse me. Well holed. Brian having a tough day. 3 over today. But there's lots of room on the backside, Brian. Back to 12.
Greg Norman taking a long time looking over what he's facing here. And while he ponders that, we go to 10.
Jay Haas ready for his 35-foot putt. Problem here, the shadows act as camouflage and hide the contour. Beautifully done. It's so difficult to read these putts. Back to 12.
And Greg Norman Oh, I beg your pardon. Davis Love. Good leg putt. Davis tied for the lead with Jay Haas and Ben Crenshaw. Norman, Couples, one back. David Frost, who's at the 11th, is only two back. And we go to the 9th.
On the tee, Ben Crenshaw.
If you can't move it from right to left here, this is a difficult tee shot. You go through there, you have to go right to left, and you see that sight, and all the terrain slopes to the right. It's a hard hole to fit your eye. Well, I hope Ben likes it as much as the Gowrie does.
He will. Rock solid.
Oh, yes. See it running down the hill from here. Perfect.
To 12.
And Greg Norman for birdie. Terrific. On Sunday afternoon in the Masters, a par is a more than worthy score. At the Masters, his 15th appearance. He had a terrific run in the mid-80s. 86, he was a runner-up, of course, to Jack Nicklaus, had a chance to tie at the 18th. In 87, he lost in the playoff to Larry Mize with the miracle chip on the 11th hole. And he finishes play at the middle hole of Amen Corner with a 3. Now Davis Love trying to equal that. And we go to the 9th.
Couples for par.
After making eagle at number 8, he's happy with making 4 after putting the bunker here.
12. Up for a 3. And he stays at minus 11. And we go back to the 9th.
Most unconventional Masters it has been for Fred Couples. He has bogeyed the 13th the first 3 days, made a triple bogey on the 10th hole on Thursday when he whipped the shot from underneath an azalea bush. And he's one off the lead, 2-11.
And David Frost, who is at 9 under par, and stays that way. So Frosty, now a resident of Dallas, only 2 off the lead. He said of his round yesterday, it was kind of boring, but that's what you sometimes need here. Back to 10.
And a beautiful view back from behind the green. That bunker in the middle of the screen, the only remaining Alistair McKenzie part of the golf course. Just to the right of that is where the old 10th green used to be. And this is Phil Mickelson preparing to play his 3rd shot. He caught the trees off the left side of the tee. Had to pitch out to this point.
Yes.
To win here, you have to be swinging well, but on Sunday afternoon, you have to have total confidence in your decision making. Have to have total commitment to what you're going to do. Anything less, and you pay for it. Well-balanced golf swing, coming right at it, is at the right distance. It comes up a fraction short. The greens, while they are very firm, not quite as firm as last year's final round due to Thursday's rains. Phil walks toward the 10th green. We go back to the tee for the pairing of Fred Couples and Steve Elkington. Freddie's had as Jim alluded to, unbelievable week. He made a triple here at 10. He's bogeyed the 13th hole 3 times. He's missed a couple short putts. If. Now, all he cares about now is a right to left tee shot. The fans like it. And when Freddie gets down there, I'm sure he would like it as well. Perfectly positioned. Let's go back to 9.
Crenshaw has left himself only 100 yards to the hole, but let's first go to 12.
And David Frost. And a correction on his score. That last putt we saw at the 11th was a short putt for bogey. Thus the look of chagrin on David Frost's countenance, and he's a little long here. We go back to the 9th.
And one of the co-leaders.
Don't leave it showing. Oh, what a shot. Best of the day. No one has got even near that. What a play. That's the beauty of getting down on the flat. You can put the spin on it. You're coming down the hill, you can't do it.
Only a tap-in birdie left. Let's go to 11.
Back at the 11th, here's Jay Haas, the co-leader, second shot. That's headed toward the bunker. Jay currently in a tie with Davis Love and Ben Crenshaw. And we go back to the 9th.
Kenny, this was a sandwich.
This is absolutely, he didn't have but about a 5-foot area to land that ball. And look at this, checks it up. And I'll tell you right now, if that was about 10 feet shorter, it would have rolled down. You would have been 30 yards from the hole. But you need shots like that to win.
And he's about to take the lead and then head to the greatest 9 holes in golf. The back 9 Sunday at the Masters. The faces of the 3 leaders. Love, Haas, Crenshaw. But Ben about to assume the lead alone at 12 under. Then Norman and Couples. And we're about to head to the back 9. Kenny, why don't you set it up?
Well, with Ben making birdie at 9, the whole swing will be 13, 14, 15.
Let's go to 12 now.
David Frost. And about 8 feet coming back. Frosty with a bogey at the 11th. His fellow competitor is John Huston, who's really had a bad day. John is 5 over par and is out of the picture now at 3 under for the tournament. Had the same kind of start yesterday. And a correction from the graphic you just saw that indicated David was at -9. He is at -8. Back to the 9th.
Brian Henagar saving par from the bunker.
He drove in the trees, left 190 yards, took it through the trees in the bunker, and he's sweating bullets. He's just 3 over par, and he's never been in this position, but it's not one that is easy to cope with.
Crenshaw for the birdie. So there you have it. The front 9 is clear. And Crenshaw by 1 over Love and Haas to 13.
And on the way now from 190 yards, Greg Norman. Both players prodigiously drove the ball around the corner here. Thinking middle of the green. And that's right where it's headed. Beautiful golf shot here. Perfect. Leaves himself about 15 feet for eagle. Just one behind. One of the better shots today. Davis, who is 10 yards shorter to this pin today. Just 180, the longest drive we've seen. Great drive. Super position. Has a wonderful lie from there. Ball isn't too much above your feet from that point. So he can easily see Greg's ball in the middle of the green. And And that's where he should be aiming at this point, right at Greg's ball, right in the middle of the green, just 180, probably a 7-iron.
Oh, get right, Tom.
Not the best of shots, but he got away with something right there. That ball hung up, and that's not a difficult 2-putt from there. Pretty lucky to have stayed up. So he leaves himself about 65, maybe 70 feet, back to 10.
From 185 yards. Fred Couples, 6-iron most likely, right at it. Just a fraction short, but he escapes from the fairway. Now back up on the tee, Ben Crenshaw. Ben's play this week, so emotional. Let's go 4 to 13.
Well, as we look back from behind the green, we watch the two players. Greg Norman just two off the pace right now, I'm sorry. Walking across that beautiful bridge there. And how about those azaleas? Are they not beautiful? Has to be, for a short par 5, the best in the world. Back to 10.
Now Ben Crenshaw set. Starts it out down the right side. Beautifully balanced, beautifully rhythmical golf swing, and beautifully positioned shot. Excellent shape. 211.
At the 11th, this is Jay Haas, who's getting ready for a par putt. Recall that Jay was in the bunker to the right, blasted out to this spot. Now 41. Terrific pairing for him. He's been playing alongside his good friend and former college teammate and roommate on the road, Curtis Strange, who's at 8 under and has completed play on the hole. This is Haas to stay at -11 and 1 off the lead. And the beginnings of Amen Corner claim another victim. Forward to 13.
Okay, we have about 65 to 70 feet left for Davis Love, just off the fringe of the green. This is a huge breaking putt left to right. Probably at least 4 to 5 feet. Split level green, actually. He's actually at least 2 feet above where the hole is cut today in elevation. So halfway in between himself and the hole, just past those shadows that you see in the middle of your screen. That's where his ball picks up its speed and takes the break down to the right. You don't expect to make these types of putts. You just want to get them somewhere around 3 to 4 feet. 2 feet's great, but I would think 3 feet or less would be a marvelous putt from there. Not quite sure actually what he's really talking about here. The more I throw it up on the hill, the faster it breaks. So maybe you play less break, get a little firmer, and try to leave yourself somewhere to the right and a little bit past this hole. Nope, that was not his best for sure. Leaves himself about 9 feet. And how the complexion can change with this putt for Greg Norman. Kenny, a little bit mechanical at times with his putting process.
Well, he was talking about what's happened the last couple of months when he got in the lead. He got protective, and instead of being aggressive, of the way that got him into the lead. That was tentative. I feel on that putt, Tommy, that I would have taken the high side as high as I can to let the thing drift down rather than the other way.
Now Norman, after 2 splendid shots, 15 feet remains. Back to 10 though.
Fred Couples for his birdie 3. Uphill, right to left. Back to 13.
This putt will break to his right. A little gardening there, a loose impediment, which you're allowed to pick up and remove. This for a share of the lead. Eagle opportunity, 15 feet. Mr. Norman. Not a very good effort either. Misread it, he says. Can't believe it. He has about 2 feet left. Not a tough putt, though. Back to 10.
And Fred Couples walking off the 10th green after successfully converting the remaining 20 inches or so of his par putt. And we go forward to 12.
And here's Jay Haas. Tee shot, aiming over the bunker. That's right where you want to be. Back to 13.
Okay, 9 feet. Left for birdie for Davis Love. 1 off the pace at this time. This is really a putt that really creates the momentum, I feel, at least at this point for Davis, going into the remaining 5 holes. Cannot give the hole away. Everybody has played too much break on this putt. Doesn't break as much to the right as you think. Yes, with a 7 iron to the green and to walk off with 5. I know the feeling. You feel like, geez, I just made a bogey, but you have to gather yourself and go on. Back to 10.
180 yards, 5 iron for Ben Crenshaw. Perfect position. He'll take this right to left.
Harvey.
Asking for it to hurry just a little bit. And you know what? That's a miniature version of the putt he made in '86. Back to 13.
Norman for birdie. Center cut. He now moves just 1 off the pace. So at this time in the final round, the 1995 Masters, Ben Crenshaw, the leader going in today, still holds that 1-stroke lead at 12 under.
Crenshaw leads, but the best round of the day, well, it belongs to 2 players, Greg Norman, Davis Love. They're each 4 under through 13 holes today. They started the round 3 back, now trailing only by 1. Then Jay Haas and Fred Couples at -10. Back out to Amen Corner, Vern Lundquist at 12.
Here.
And here is Jay Haas getting ready to take a stab at this birdie effort, which he really needs now, having fallen 2 off the lead. Jay, who had the round of 64 here on Friday. And this is for birdie. Would pull him to within 1. About a 3-footer coming back to save par at the 12th and stay 2 off the base. He'll mark and look it over. Should it come to a playoff and Haas be involved in one, he has the best record of those who are on the first page of the leaderboard. Jay has been in 3 playoffs and has never lost. In contrast, Ben Crenshaw, I don't think would like to head to the 10th again. He's been in 8 playoffs and has never won. Now Jay Haas. No easy task here. Got the 3. Stays 2 back, and we go to the 14th.
Our first look at the 405-yard dogleg left par 4, Davis Love. With the driver, trying to set up the big tee shot here to knock the wedge close to the flag. You need a lot of spin to hold this green. And as he has done here all week long, another tremendous drive for Davis Love. Back to 13.
This is the second shot from David Frost, 185 yards. Boy, this looks good too. Well played, beautifully played, right where you should, right to the center of the green. Leaves himself about 20 feet for eagle. Back to 10.
Where Ben Crenshaw has a pretty good idea what this putt does. I misspoke earlier. It was 84 when he made the putt and went on to win. Any of you at home with kids who've seen Angels in the Outfield, that movie, you'd be hard-pressed to believe there wasn't an angel in Augusta. Just a fraction short on speed, but that's the way Ben putts. He always takes the maximum amount of break on every putt. His putts tend to die at the hole. I think that's why he likes these greens here so much. A little more than a foot left for his par 4 to remain at -12. Safely in. Ben Crenshaw moves to the 11th tee. We go to 12.
Scott Hoch, who had such high hopes today to remedy the painful memories of 1989 when he lost in a playoff to Nick Faldo. But he is at -7 now and 5 off the lead.
Vern, I'm anxious to see who will be the first one to fire at the flag.
Haven't seen anybody yet, Ken. And here's Phil Mickelson, who is really having a tough day. He just put his second shot in the pond at the 11th, bogeyed the hole, and is now at -6.
When it comes up, we'll talk about something else.
Mickelson has lost 3 shots to par today. Well, fittingly on a Sunday afternoon in Augusta, the breezes are dancing through the tops of the pines, and it does cause consternation in terms of which club to use and how hard to swing it. Nice safe play. And back at the 11th hole. The second shot now for Fred Couples from 160 yards downhill. The hole 27 yards from the front edge.
Keep turning. That's at the camera, isn't it? It's all right, nothing wrong with that shot.
Indeed.
Nothing at all. I know it. It's going up short. 160 yards and you hit it 9 over.
That's Joe LaCava, his caddy, with Freddie, and we go to 14.
Looking back at Greg Norman over his second shot from 126 yards. Should be a perfect pitching wedge today. The wind slightly from behind him and right to left. You need all the spin he can muster on this one to hold this green. Taking it very high and very soft. That's a pretty good shot. Very few players have hit it close here. Back to 11.
And on the tee, here is the leader, Ben Crenshaw.
Good ball, Ben.
Carry the crown, get the kick off the hill, which he has done. Back to 14.
Davis Love with another huge drive, 120. Just a soft pitching wedge, most likely. Good looking shot here. What a golf shot. That's the best we've seen here all day. Davis Love for a birdie here at the 14th would take him into a tie for the lead. What an incredible story. He's never finished in the top 10 in a major before. Some say that's been a fluke. To 13.
Eagle opportunity left for David Frost, 20 feet. Oh. Needed that one badly the way everybody's playing. Of course, he doesn't know that, but after that shot from Love and Norman. Still a fine birdie. We just heard that Jay Haas is in trouble with 13. Is driven through the fairway up on the right-hand side in the pine straw. So his chances of reaching this green are almost slim and none. And to think yesterday he had to call a penalty stroke on himself.
Tommy, there's no way that he can go to that green, and he'd be ridiculous to do it. I would think that he would have to hook this ball and get himself and leave himself a pitch shot from the left-hand side of the fairway.
That's right, Ken. You just can't grip the ball in that pine straw. He's just trying to figure out where do I lay up to have the best angle to play my third shot in here. Stranger things have happened, though. But he's a pretty conservative guy. You know, he's not an aggressive personality, so it would really surprise me if he took a chance here. Back to 11, though.
And on the 11th, here's Fred Couples. 2 off the lead right now. And +1 through Amen Corner in large part because of the problems he's had at the 13th, where he has bogeyed the hole on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now at the 11th, only 2 birdies here all afternoon. This is no easy task itself. This large gallery that always gathers here at Amen Corner was waiting in anticipation, ready to stand up, and then had no reason to. What a wonderful spot to watch a golf tournament. Here's Steve Elkington. He's at -7, and we go to 14.
Greg Norman for birdie. He's 14 under par on the par 5s alone this week. Sound familiar? That's how Ballesteros has played with him. This is to tie for the lead. Just a little too much speed. Wouldn't take the break. Cup placement and a difficult putting placement. Seen very few birdies here today. It's often been said that the secret to winning here is the par 5s. To 11.
Steve Elkington. That was for 4. So the difficult afternoon continues for Elk, and we go back to 14.
Norman, 3.5 feet left. And left to right breaker. Be through his shadow, too. Oh. Oh. In the side door, but down nevertheless. Norman, 4th consecutive par here at the 14th. Stays one back at 11 under par. Davis Love inside Norman's putt for par. This for birdie. To 11 first.
Fred Couples for 4. Oh my. Oh my. A 3-putt from 20 feet at the 11th. We go back to 14.
Left center. Uphill. Got it. Davis Love with a fine birdie here at the 14th. Moves into a tie for the lead with Ben Crenshaw, who's playing the 11th.
185. Second shot for Ben.
Good shot, Ben. Whoa, now. Whoa.
That's just a little longer than the putt that Freddie Couples had problems with. We go to 13.
This, the 3rd shot. Jay Haas, classic swinger, 85 yards. Right at it. Spin back. Good shot. About 8 feet behind the hole. Well played. Back to 11.
And 31-year-old Brian Henagar tied for the lead at the start of the day. Now 5 off the lead. Difficult afternoon.
Go ball.
On the putting surface, but a long way away.
I would have to say, Vern, when you said there were 2 birdies there, I don't imagine they were very close to the hole.
No, they were not, Ken. And here we are at the 12th. And can any of us watch Fred Couples at this tee without remembering 1992, the 7-iron that amazingly stayed up off of the bank, on the bank rather.
Yeah, he's right on it. Get on it.
Well, Kenny asked if anybody had gone for the flag. To 15.
Davis Love the 3rd, 500 yards. Par 5. He's hit huge drives, bested only by Tiger Woods all week, but only has made 1 birdie, and that was yesterday. And that's another massive drive. Going to leave him around about 165 to 12.
Steve Elkington. And the more conventional play for Sunday afternoon. The azaleas and the dogwood are in full bloom here on the 9th of April.
You know, Vern, Couples had to shoot at the flag. He is 3 behind, and he has to make a move. He couldn't play safe there.
Absolutely can. That reaction, by the way, you hear in the background is the posting of a score for Davis Love here on the scoreboard. To 15.
And now Greg Norman, who has birdied this hole all 3 days and will leave nothing behind in his shoes. He will leap at this one. Ooh, quite violent. That really was sheer macho. And it's huge. But he hasn't caught up with Davis Love the 3rd by about 10 or 15 yards. We have a huge battle joined here. Davis Love the 3rd and Ben Crenshaw tied for the lead.
Back at the 11th, the leader, co-leader Ben Crenshaw for birdie. Well, he is arguably the best who ever lived with a flat blade. And a gentle touch for Ben Crenshaw there. That should assure him his 4 at the 11th. He has elected to mark and give way to Brian Henniker. Ben, who first played here as an amateur in 1972 and hasn't missed a Masters since. Came here as the reigning NCAA champion. We go to 12. and Steve Elkington for birdie. Well done from the new father, but it, in all likelihood, is going to be too little too late. To 13.
The third shot, Curtis Strange, playing like Phil Mickelson. Ho, ho, ho. Well, this has not been a very good hole for Curtis. Back to 12.
Fred Couples fired it at the flag, and he's got a birdie effort now. Kenny, how much does that three-putt weigh on his mind at this moment?
He has to forget that, but that was a big three-putt there, Vern.
To 14.
David Frost for birdie. Difficult downhill right to left break. Picks up speed by the hole. Yet to see a person make that putt today. You can see how fast that is. He'll have some 3.5, 4 feet for par to 12.
Fred Couples for birdie. My goodness.
Fallen asleep.
He put it right through the break. And at the 11th, here's Crenshaw for his par. And that keeps him tied at the top with Davis Love III, who, by the way, has also never won a playoff in 3 attempts. To 15.
Greg Norman, 180 yards to the flagstick. 7-iron. A little ambitious. Wind swirling, but mostly at his back at the top of the hill. Just one off the pace. That's a pretty good looking shot. Wonderful stroke by Greg Norman. A realistic eagle opportunity with not a difficult putt at all up the slope with a little break to the left. He could vault into the lead. Even if it is only a momentary vault, because Davis Love III has only got 165 yards to the flag. Back to the 12th.
Where Fred Couples is trying to avoid consecutive three-putt greens. No, that may be his tournament. Three-putt the 11th, three-putt the 12th. To 15.
Believe it or not, Davis Love III has just a 9-iron, so the adrenaline is fairly pumping. 165 yards to flag.
You only got 55 on.
The wind is still helping, as his brother Mark said. That looks pretty good. Not quite the equal of Norman's, but two realistic eagle opportunities here for Davis Love III and Greg Norman. What a great pairing that was. To 12.
Where Ben Crenshaw will now call upon 24 years of experience in this tournament to help him accomplish the task that is his. It seems so gentle. 162 yards. There's the creek. There's the narrow green, bunkers front and back, and the ever-present breeze.
As you said, Vern, and we've said many times, you can't win it here, but you can certainly lose it.
Oh dear.
This much. Just this much.
That's why it's such a treacherous hole. Brian Henagar. His first Sunday afternoon at the 12th tee. Exact spot where Greg Norman found himself, but the problems are those of Ben Crenshaw in the bunker at the 12th, but tied for the lead for the moment.
Well, last year's winner, Jose Maria Olazabal, finished at 4 under. He'll be joining us later for the green jacket presentation. And of course, the swing hole last year for Olazabal was 15. Was at that hole where he rolled in the eagle putt. We've got 2 huge attempts coming up. Let's go there now with Ben Wright.
Davis Love III is first to putt. Now the players think that it's going to break a little to the right. It doesn't break at all. One down, but that's a birdie, and he now has the lead momentarily outright. A little crestfallen. Now Greg Norman has a break to his left on this putt, but I would say he would have to aim it at the top edge, the right edge, and not outside the hole. And what an incredible performance he's given at these par 5s. 14 under coming in here for the par 5s. He's birdied it the 15th on all 3 days. Now for the eagle. And a tie for the lead with Davis Love III, his fellow competitor. The silence is almost uncanny. Just not firm enough to hold its line. But the birdie moves him into a tie with Ben Crenshaw at 12 under par. And Crenshaw has troubles of his own. But you can call that a great chance squandered by Greg Norman. You have to say it. To 12.
Bunker shot of Ben Crenshaw. This will test your disposition. Well, for a 6-footer in the final round, my goodness. Davis Love III has assumed a 1-shot lead over Greg Norman. Ben Crenshaw with that 6-footer to stay at 12 and 1 back. And again, the reaction you hear in the background is the gallery responding to the posting of the score on a large scoreboard at the 12th. Jay Haas at -10, Frost and Couples at -8. And the final pairing of the day, Brian Henniker, such high hopes overnight, tied for the lead going into the final round, and now an acolyte. To 14.
Jay Haas, second shot, 128 yards pitching wedge. Taking it left of the flag, trying to cut it back against the wind. Get as much spin as he can on it. Oh, great shot. Whoa ball, feeding down the slope. 10 feet left for Haas for birdie up the hill to 16.
Isn't that a fantastic view? The flowers and shrubs to the right of your picture, the huge crowd alongside the pond in their thousands, 20 or so deep, and deep in the shadows, the 16th tee. The hole playing today at 183 yards. It's full length.
Copy.
Davis Love III having birdied the 14th and 15th as the honor. The club of choice has been a 6-iron, but it might be a 5. That is going to leave him with a hellish putt down and across the slope with a huge break to the left and one that he can hardly breathe on and keep it on the green. And there you see his position by round. Never been far away from the top 10, and of course he's never finished in the top 10 in a major championship. There you see the situation, and a magnificent one it is. Take a rest, Davis. To 12.
Crenshaw for a 3 at the 12th. That is a wonderful up and down out of the bunker, and a real test of nerves for a 43-year-old former champion or champion of the Masters who won here in 1984. He stays one back, and we go to 16.
And once again looking back from green to tee, and there's Greg Norman. That looks like a 6-iron. Same kind of position, but not at all good. In fact, he's going to show Davis Love III the line. Two very indifferent shots at this stage of the game. The players have been peppering this flagstick. To 14.
Jay Haas for birdie. Nearly straight up the hill. A must if he's going to figure in this tournament. Oh, despite the bounce, it still catches the bottom. Jay Haas overcoming much adversity this week. Tough start yesterday, just fighting back. Only 2 back to 13.
And from behind this tee, we look down the fairway. Ben Crenshaw. Just make a nice smooth swing, Ben. This hole is set up perfect for you. That's a driver. Perfectly placed. I didn't know he was that long. Pretty good drive, Ben. Forward to 16. Tremendous ovation for Davis Love III and Greg Norman. Crowd on their feet, as well they might be. Two of the most powerful, most compelling players in the game. Some serious work to do with the blade. They will take their seats again. Shadows etched very sharply across this green of the huge pines to the right of the 6th tee. I think Davis Love III has a big advantage here in putting second. Greg Norman has gone 3-3-2 here. Davis Love III 3-3-2. It's they'd be very fortunate to make a 2 from this position, either of them, however. Kenny, you know, there's a very real
chance to putt clean off the green here.
I go back to one putt that Eddie Snead had one year. He made the mistake of being so fast, he left it on top of the hill. But you are truly right, Ben. The thing here, if this picks up some speed, you can putt it right off the green.
They were really ultra defensive shots, these. As the left-hand bunker is awfully close to the flagstick, and the water is not far away either, but these are some awfully difficult putts.
Ben, remember that Davis Love was talking about in the past, until the last few months, he found that when he was losing coming down the stretch, that he was getting protective and not being aggressive like he was playing the first 63 holes.
Yes, and yet, you know, they both hit such wonderful shots to 15.
Of course, Ben, that is all set up by the length of the drives and the way the fairways are running. To have 7 irons and 6 irons there is fantastic.
9 iron.
I used to hit 4s, but it was a wood.
Doesn't bear thinking about. Now you see the way Greg Norman is facing right to the top edge of the green.
It is really a big advantage for Love to putt second here, Ben. You're right.
This is going to have at least a semicircular route. Will turn through 90 degrees, maybe a little more. Turn back on itself almost. That's a marvelous touch, and look at it, just gathering pace. Oh man! Had a peep in the side door in passing. Marvelous touch, and yet still a tough putt coming back. Well, that's given Davis Love III a pretty good idea. Barely got to set the ball in motion. And the way it gathers speed on its way.
Ben, I don't think you could hit it any easier than that.
No, I thought for a horrible moment it was going to hang up. No question about it. Can he, the advantages with Crenshaw, if he can get his game together at the par 5s, which have bedeviled him. He's got 2 of them to play.
Well, he started very well at number 13 with a great drive, but I think he still has the advantage.
And there he is at the 13th hole. Not much breeze down in this quarter of the arena. Now Davis Love III. Look at that. Barely touched the ball. Now it turns left and starts to gallop, and that's going fast. Not quite sure who's going to be away. It is looking as if it's Davis. Now this putt, of course, will sneak to the right. Most players dislike the putt that gets away to the right. And it will move pretty swiftly as it dies, so you have to hit it firm enough to keep its line. And if either man fails to make a par here, Ben Crenshaw has an even greater advantage with his 2 par 5s to play. So these are absolutely essential.
This is the biggest putt of the day for Love right now.
Hit it straight through the break. An advantage Crenshaw, and an advantage Norman for that matter, if he can get this one in. We have a 3-way tie at this moment. Let's go to 13.
And there he stands with destiny in front of him, 200 yards away, just 180 to carry the water. Ben Crenshaw probably a 4-iron. Middle of the green is all he is looking at this point.
Don't pull it.
It's down in the swale. In fact, it stayed up on the bank. Wow. Wow. Forward to 16.
Greg Norman is ready. He knows exactly what's going to happen to this putt. Left edge.
Yes. A very telling putt for Greg Norman. So we have a three-way tie at 12 under par between Greg Norman, Davis Love III, and Ben Crenshaw. Jay Haas not out of it at all at 11 under,
coming to 15. And now this is the second shot of Jay Haas from 200 yards out with a 4-iron.
Oh my word, it's going to go into the water. I do believe, yes, it's gone. Jay Haas. Oh. Well, that is a sad moment for Jay Haas, but we have a three-way tie for the lead. Greg Norman, Davis Love III.
Well, the back nine providing the perfect setting once more. 3 are tied, with Crenshaw playing the 13th and 15 still ahead. Kenny, your observations at this point?
Well, the big putt of all was Davis Love when he missed it there. He had to make that. That was the most important putt he had, because he missed putts at number 9 for birdie, and then he failed to make birdie at 13. So I give the advantage to Crenshaw because he still has 13 and 15 to play.
Let's get out to 13 right now. Tommy?
Well, as you can see, he's cut the kind of what they call here the semi-rough, not a tough area to play from. The thing is, he's got two things going against him, actually. The ball's below his feet, which negates a lot of loft that you can put on that shot, which he needs to have right here. And you can't grip the ball enough, so you have two choices. Do you bump it into the bank, chip and run it, or take the chance of putting it up in the air and maybe miss hitting it? So the percentage shot would probably be into the bank, but to get this ball anywhere closer than 10 feet would be a miracle. There's a good graphic. About 15 feet. Good shot, though. See, he plays to his weapon, his putter. He knows, just put me 10, 15 feet. He's uphill now. Little breaker to the right. Still, good opportunity left for birdie. Forward to 15.
The fourth shot from Jay Haas on its way. And a mighty good one. He can get away with a par here and still hang in there. But a birdie was what he obviously required, since he was one behind. Looking back up the hill at 15, and we'll go back to the 13th.
Where now we have Brian Henniker, who's reached the fringe at least. Almost a similar situation where earlier we saw Davis Love putt from, about 60 feet from the hole. Can't see right about where he's walking. He walks uphill right there. That's the transition in the green. It's the split level from the left side down to the right toward the stream. Forward to 17, though.
Where Greg Norman is walking up the fairway after hitting a good tee shot. Davis Love right beside him. Boy, this has been a game of long ball today. Norman with 5 birdies and no bogeys. Davis Love with 6 birdies and just that last lone bogey on the last hole. Perfect tee shot right in the middle of the fairway, back to 13.
From 60 feet, Henniker didn't get it high enough, didn't hit it hard enough. Now this could be a big help for Crenshaw. Of course, he knows the greens, but still, anything helps. When you can watch another player's putt before you, that's some advantage. Forward to 17.
Greg Norman looking over his second shot here. He has 110 yards left, and he cannot put the pitching wedge in his hand here.
You know where the 10 is, right?
That has to be the sand wedge. The miss here is below the hole. The green is firmed up during the day and a lot of balls have gone over. There you see no bogeys in the last 22 holes. Oh, and that's left and long, and that is almost an impossible 2-putt. Oh, not the place to miss it. That is just not a good shot. Haven't seen anybody 2-putt it from there all day long. Now Davis Love.
92 over the bunker, 103 hole.
There you heard it. 92 over the bunker, 103. To 13 first.
Okay, we do know this putt does break slightly to the right. Too much speed holds it up high, so the master of the putter from 15 feet for birdie. And to take the lead, Ben Crenshaw. So let's patiently watch this ball roll. Who didn't know that? Smart play on the third shot. Really set up that putt. Can't believe it. After such a poor second, to walk off with a 4. And with the lead, that's got to create the momentum for the last 5 holes for Ben, I feel. Forward to 17, and the problems with Greg Norman.
Well, first we have Davis Love with his shot, 105 yards in between clubs. See, just a little sand wedge. Oh, look at this shot! Right underneath the hole, 2 feet away. What a great golf shot. Davis Love, after hearing the roar from Crenshaw's putt on 13, settled right into it and hit the shot he needed to hit to catch Crenshaw. What a couple of weeks this man is having. I can imagine Harvey clapping again. He must be so proud of his 2 young pupils. Now to 14.
Ben Crenshaw could hear the roar at 17, but he doesn't know what it's about with the driver. Similar type tee shot that he needed at the last hole. And he has hooked it too much into the trees. Looked like it got a little right kick. Well, that might be all right. Oh, a big smile there for Ben. That's a sigh of relief. To 17.
Here's Davis Love's second shot again. Coming right down on top of it. Gosh, what a shot. Now back live with Greg Norman. This putt is so lightning fast once it gets to the top of the hill. Almost every putt I've seen hit today has gone 8 to 10 feet by. Remember in '86, Ballesteros in the last round knocked this same putt 12 feet by when Nicklaus won. This would be an awesome two-putt if he could do it. Oh no, slow down. Slow down. Oh, that's a good 8 feet. And of course he's still away. Just almost an impossible putt to get close to the hole. That's sand wedge Greg hit. Just a little too much adrenaline pumping. Probably over the top and hard. It's a shot actually that Davis has been having trouble with in the last few tournaments coming down the stretch. It's ironic that Norman would hit the shot that Davis has been having trouble with. Now this putt for par to stay at 12 under. Give him a chance. Very difficult read, just right on the right edge. If he misses this, there'll be a two-shot swing between Love and himself. So quiet. Oh, it was left all the way. Left all the way. Bogey for Norman to drop him back to 11 under, 2 back of Crenshaw, and soon to be 2 back of Davis Love. Of course, at this point, there are no gimmies. These greens are fast but pure. A good stroke, you make it. Davis Love going to share the lead with Ben Crenshaw. So Davis having 2 dream weeks headed to the 18th tee. Kenny, this is fabulous.
Doesn't get any better, and as Jim, you notice he checked the trees as he was going to the 18th tee. Now 2 days, Thursday and Friday, he hit 1 irons. Yesterday, he hit a driver. There's 2 things he has to do. He has to hit a driver, and they just posted the scores here at 17 on the 18th scoreboard. And secondly, he cannot play Greg Norman. He must play the hole.
Let's get out to 14 right now.
Ben Crenshaw, 155 yards, left rough. There's a limb that will be interfering his line of play here. Kenny on this shot got to be long behind the hole.
The 3 years I lost the Masters, I was short and 3-putted this hole 3 times. I've lost it, and I found out later you must be long. Short, you are just don't have a chance.
Looks like an 8-iron. Looks like he's got a clear view from here. Should be a good club. Kept it low underneath the limb. Oh, landed just on top of the ridge. An incredible golf shot. 12 feet behind the hole. My goodness, if that ball had landed just 4 feet shorter, it would have rolled back down the embankment and had an impossible chip. Ben Crenshaw. Escaping jail here at 14. Good bounce off the tee. Shot off the tree to 18.
Davis with driver from that left side of the box.
That is left. That is left, but it's over the bunkers, down where Woosnam was. Holy smoke! That's the longest drive in the world. That's almost to the 9th fairway.
I've never seen one that far left, but he'll certainly have an open shot.
But I don't like the angle. I don't like the angle.
Let's get back to 14.
Let's take a look at this one more time. With an 8-iron, most likely a little punch shot, keeping it underneath the limb. That was out of your view. And he couldn't spin it because he had to hit it low. It was a perfect golf shot. Ben Crenshaw, Davis Love III, log jammed it 13 under par, and we're coming down the stretch.
And this is the second shot of Jay Haas at the 16th hole just a few moments ago. Impossible to get this anywhere near the hole. And this is just a magnificent piece of shot making. Look at that. Almost the most unlikely of birdies for Jay Haas, who parred the 15th hole, by the way. Back to 18.
Well, they'll have to clear out the gallery. Davis Love blowing it over those bunkers, and as Kenny mentioned, almost onto the 9th fairway. And when Woosnam in '91 won this tournament and played it from over in that area, but not that extreme, the placement that day, Kenny, was on the back portion, which was an easier approach.
Yes, but Davis, they have about a little over 110 yards, maybe 120 yards. That can put a wedge in their hand because they're playing downwind, and Davis can spin it. So that's the good. I mean, that's the plus to it. But they have so little green to work with. They got the slope in front of the green, bunker right. It's to me where Davis is now. I would believe be long of the hole. Don't try to get it too close.
Back to 14.
Ben Crenshaw, we'll call it 13 feet below the hole, coming uphill. Generally, the players underread this putt. It breaks more left than you think. But Ben, with his vast experience here, certainly knows this line. To take the lead. Just ran out of speed. The line was perfect. Crenshaw, par 4 here at 14, and he'll have an interesting strategy to play the 15th coming up. Waiting for Brian Henniger. Nice to see Ben smiling with all this strain and pressure. To 18.
Greg Norman also went left of the bunkers. To have any chance, he must make birdie here.
He's 150 yards. He has to take the chance. He's 2 behind. He needs it. He can't afford to lay up. He has to fire right at it. It's about 25 feet over the bunker. You don't have much to work with. Spin it.
Well, he's given himself a chance.
Now he throws it right back onto Davis Love, and Davis Love didn't have the yardage. He's walked all the way up to the green and will walk it back to get the yardage. Mainly to see that he only has about 14, 15 feet of green in front, and he's going to get the yardage by walking it off.
And that's his brother Mark caddying for him, as he had back in '92. Went off the bag for a couple of years and returned this year, and so has the good fortune in Davis's game.
I don't know, but just looking at being down there, I'm looking at probably 120. That's my guess.
To 15.
And they're making their way to the tee. From there they have a blind drive over the hill, and then of course a downhill second shot to this narrow, shallow sliver of green. And Crenshaw really has played this hole in a very ordinary manner in 3 pars. That's like being 3 over. Mounds on the right. The ground falls away very quickly on the left. He's hit in different tee shots here previously. One wide right, one way left. Well, he doesn't seem concerned about that one, and nor should he be. Excellent tee shot, but rather short compared to some of the others, to 18.
One other burden here for Davis. This is directly downwind. There's only about 14 feet of green to work with.
They have come up with the caddy and Davis Love after pacing off. He has 120 yards. He's got to get it high, spin it, downwind.
Go to the hole.
No good. That's what you had to guard against. No good.
Oh, that is a tough place to get it up and down from. That spot on the left side of the green.
That is really makes a change in this entire hole.
Well, co-leaders Love and Crenshaw, but still a long journey ahead at the Masters. Well, with Davis almost 4 full holes ahead of Crenshaw, it looks like Ben will have to play the home stretch knowing there's a number he must top.
Right now it's for Ben's tournament to win, but Davis Love, where he is here, you'd have to sandpaper your fingertips to get this down in 2. He's going to use a putter, but that to me was, he had to have pulled that, because if you're going to miss this, you have to be long. You had to be long. The hill would help you. It would be down. You leave yourself a 30-footer. At least you're guaranteed yourself par, and still guaranteeing you're going to be 13, where Norman can't catch you. Now Norman makes his putt, and Love makes bogey. They're tied, and they're just going to have to sit and wait with Crenshaw, and I think he'll waltz his way in.
What he would do for a 4 right now.
Most of the time you get this past the hole, because if you just can't guard, you have to guard against leaving it short.
Oh, good touch on this. What a stroke.
It's still not in, but I'll tell you what, you can put your bag of balls down there and you couldn't get it do much better than that. He's left himself about 3.5 feet. When you're thinking of the last hole of the Masters, and that was a chance to win, you're building up some pressure.
Well, Norman knows now he must make, Davis must miss to have any chance at all.
I can't tell you how good that shot was of Davis Love coming up that hill there with that putter. What a touch.
Now, Greg.
I can't imagine him ever leaving this short. It just 2 back of Love, and of course 2 back of Crenshaw, with Crenshaw still playing 15. But I don't look for this to be short of the hole. The big part of Norman's day was at 10, where he made birdie where that chip was going so fast and hit the pin. But this is the big one now.
Has to have it.
It really doesn't break very much. I don't think you can give the hole away.
It's not short. He may still be away too.
A little bit easier. I would think he might be. I think you're right, Jim. I think you've called it. Looking down there, I think he's still away.
This year, the haunting shot for Norman will be the second at 17.
Now here's a hard putt. Not hard because of anything else. He knows now he can't win the tournament, and he's got to gather himself to make sure he makes par. And you've kind of now thought that you've lost your chance to win.
Let's go to 15 right now.
Well, now you know what's going to happen. Ben Crenshaw has that strange contradiction in terms of metal wood. He's going for it. He is 225 yards to the flagstick. Just a gentle zephyr at his back. It's just got up a little bit. Of course, Davis Love had him by 60 yards into the sunshine as the sun sinks a little. That's going to be way over the green. Whoa. One bounce, head high into the crowd.
Just hit it like a bullet. Like a bullet, yeah.
Ben, if that had been online, that might have gone in the water over the green.
It certainly could have, Kenny. That's absolutely true. If the crowd hadn't intervened, I think that was going to go in the pond at 16 to 18.
Earlier, Norman for par.
Yes. It's a new way to play the 18th. Davis Love with a final round 66. Will that be good enough to win a green jacket?
He missed a very short putt for birdie at 9 and then missed making birdie at 13 and still 66.
Well, he had a premonition. He brought a suit with him this week because on Sunday night there's a dinner for the champion. And
I've never seen him in a suit.
He brought one just in case. My point. Let's go at the 15.
And now Brian Henniker comes to the green first as the crowd get to their feet to applaud the last pairing on the golf course. And now Ben Crenshaw, the 1984 champion, who has had 9 more agonizing top 10s in the Masters. And you know, the good thing about hitting it into the crowd in that particular spot, he's between sprinkler heads. There are no sprinkler heads on his way to the hole. There it is. The ovation. And as he and Carl Jackson, his caddy, said, it went off like a bullet. A much beloved figure wherever golf is played. Now basically what he's doing is playing uphill to get to the green and then downhill towards the hole, and the flagstick is placed just 4 yards from the edge of the green. There you see his lie. Brian Henniker stayed up with his shot from 235 yards out. What a terrific performance by this 31-year-old from Oregon. Bogeyed the second and third holes, and then the seventh. But he's parred all the way in from there to be at 7 under. There you see he's pitching up the green, so a favorable place to play from. Back to 17.
And this, Jay Haas a moment ago, for his birdie to go to 11 under par. Got it. So Jay, if he holds out his second shot on 18, maybe. Back to 15.
And Brian Henniker. Whoa. Whoa. Well, it was a bold shot, but he's got his work cut out now. Now, Ben Crenshaw ponders. There you see the position with Davis Love III having finished at 13 under, a round of 66. And it will need all of Ben Crenshaw's magic touch to get this one close. Just walk past the 2 sprinkler heads that could possibly have been in his line. They are to the left of his line.
Ben, I really believe he got a big break by knocking that offline, because I swear that would have gone in the water.
Won't make it. My word. These par 5s, well, particularly this one, nothing better than par at a hole that you want to make birdie or eagle. So far. Always a man who talks a lot to himself. Very, very hard on himself, in fact. Will he choose the putter? I imagine so. Trying to find the shot that fits his mind's eye. It is the trusted blade. It's not going to do much. It's a left edge. This for a birdie and the outright lead. Well, he's gone without a birdie at the 15th hole. Brian Henniker. Huge amount of money, which he very much needs since he's missed 4 cuts already this year and has only had 1 top 20 finish. But it's just a marvelous first performance in the Masters. No. So Henniker cannot improve his position from 7 under. And Ben Crenshaw, who has a par putt now, will know that he has to make a birdie to win outright because he's been staring at the big scoreboard to the right of the 15th green, which has registered the scores of Davis Love III and Greg Norman. This for par. Well, he knows it. Almost a cardinal sin not to make a birdie all through the tournament at the 15th hole. Still he can smile. And they make their way to the glorious 16th with a wind freshening a little, which will be from the players' right. So the left of your picture, sort of over the shoulder wind. A little bit favoring the players, but predominantly from the right. And that favors a draw into the back left pin placement, menaced by water and bunker. Three under on the par 3s, but his performance on the par 5s has been anything but good. And there it is, par, birdie, par. Henniker, par, par, birdie. And of course the danger is if you play defensively to the right-hand side, the putts as we have seen are well nigh impossible. Although Greg Norman got up and down. Greg Norman, you made it up and down from the most unpromising of positions, but he doesn't want that position, does he?
No, not at all, Ben. Right now, this shot actually suits Ben Crenshaw very well because he's a natural drawer of the ball. He's going to aim at the stanchion of the TV tower there and just let the ball feed on down. It's 179 yards, but down there, the green there, the wind might be pushing the ball just a little right.
It's pushing it from the right. And that has a chance of coming back. Yes, it will. That is a wonderful stroke by Crenshaw. A lot of courage in that. Not to speak of skill. Well, now he has a definite birdie opportunity to overtake Davis Love III with 2 holes to play. Young Brian Henniker. Ooh, that stayed up. That's quite extraordinary. Let's go down to Bill McAtee in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Ben Wright. Greg Norman has joined us. I know you're disappointed coming in here, but when I asked you about your round today, you said the composure for both you and Davis Love.
Yeah, that's what it was, Bill. I think we we both put a great performance on today. He drove the ball great. I played good. He just made a couple of extra birdies when he needed to make, and that was just the difference. I mean, neither one of us lost our composure. We were in control of the game, and the way we played 15 was just phenomenal. And it's unfortunate we both didn't make eagle there. So, you know, all in all, I'm disappointed, but I played a good tournament. I played a very good tournament, and yeah, I'd like to win the golf tournament. It's my favorite tournament in the world, but you know, it wasn't to be.
Well, there's Ben Crenshaw, and let's throw you back out to 16 and Ben Wright.
See. That might bring a tear to Ben Crenshaw's eyes as he remembers his longtime mentor and teacher Harvey Penick, who passed away last weekend. Back down to the studio.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Greg Norman, as you look back on the 1995 Masters, it might be of moments missed, but certainly this great chip at the 10th hole.
Yeah, anybody says that's my nemesis hole now, I can go fly a kite as far as I'm concerned. I played the hole pretty good all week, and you know, there wasn't much to it. But yeah, Dave, this from here, Davis had probably about 105-yard sand wedge, and he just piped it all the way through it. And you know, that's what he did great all day. He hit the ball the right distance when he had to there on 15 and on, 15 and 17.
Your putt at 16, for a moment, it looked like it might not make the ridge.
Oh, it was always going to make the ridge, Bill. There's no question about that. But you know, right here, I thought I made it, and right there, it seemed like it just took a little movement more than I thought it would do, and you know, that's just the way the day was going.
Meanwhile, Davis, his approach, terrific shot at 17.
Well, yeah, just perfect shot for him, about 95 yards sand wedge, and he hit it absolutely perfect.
'17 was the only bogey for you today. What about your approach into the green?
Well, I had a kind of like an awkward yardage. I had 106 yards to the flag, and the wind was a little right to left in and off. It was hanging lie, and I really don't like hitting a hard sandwich that far, and I didn't want to hit a little pitching wedge either. So I tried to hit the sandwich, and I pulled it off the lie a little bit. And you know, once you get it going down that slope there, it's going to go 20, 30 feet more than what it should have done. But you know, I was just trying to make the putt the next. I wasn't going to try and leave it short. I needed to make it, knowing that Davis was going to make 3.
Will you take a look at this Masters and think of some of those opportunities, almost making the eagle putt at 15 and so close there at 16?
Well, you can always sit back and reflect, but in reflection, I played great. I had a good Masters Championship. I didn't win it. You got 2 good players sitting up front there that putting on a sterling performance, so I'm just going to sit back and congratulate the champion.
All right, Greg Norman, thank you very much. A round of 68 today. That's the scene at the 16th hole, and let's join Ben Wright.
And little Brian Henniker had to go right down the shaft of his putter, stand in the bunker to get a putt at the ball, and he's not quite as far away from the hole as Crenshaw, but there's only inches in it. Now Ben. This to get a one-stroke advantage over Davis Love III. Leaks to the right.
But that was dead center. Ben Crenshaw at 14 under par has a 1-stroke advantage over Davis Love III, who is finished with 2 holes to play.
And Ben asking the crowd to respect Brian Henniger's attempt to salvage par and remain at 7 under. And that they do, returning to their seats. Well, we saw what a brave little man this is at Atlanta last year when he finished with an eagle 3 to finish second to John Daly. He's shown a lot of fortitude here in the final pairing. This goes to his left. Oh, he hit it through the break, pushed there. So he will drop to 6 under par. And Ben Crenshaw will go to the 17th tee with a one-stroke advantage over Davis Love III, who shot 66. Greg Norman and Jay Haas tied for third.
If Ben Crenshaw can par in, he'll have his second green jacket to the 17th.
And a tee shot that fits Ben Crenshaw's shape very well. The Eisenhower tree on the left. Picture perfect. Right down the middle of the fairway. And long. Looks more calm than he did than when he was playing the 13th hole, Kenny.
He's very much in control, but I'll tell you what, you can't say enough about that shot he hit at 16 when the other two players behind him or ahead of him hit it way right.
Now Brian Henniger with his tee shot. A little guy, 5'8", 155. Can really pound the ball. Now to 18.
Phil Mickelson with a putt for birdie. He had eagle today on 13. This putt to get to 9 under.
Where he had a bad time was he made double bogey at 6, then bogeyed 7, and tried to get it back and got it all the way down to 6, but with a bogey at 10 and 11 again. So he's been an up and down day.
Sitting at home a year ago, watching the tournament on television with a broken leg. Said the anticipation for this tournament had been building for 2 years.
He's 24 years old, Jim. I guarantee you'll see him win a green jacket with the talent he has. Tell you what, that's just nothing but a left-handed Ben Crenshaw stroke.
Isn't it, though? Well, the left-hander has never won the Masters, but he set the record for lowest round ever at Augusta by a lefty with 66 on Thursday.
There were 3 66s that day. I think that was the big reason why the scores got a little bit lower than they should have, because the rain softened the greens from Thursday. But it's been really void of wind for the last 3 days, and it's just been ideal conditions. And the scores show it.
Scott Hoch hit one in there snug and has a putt for birdie. His Wake Forest teammates, Curtis Strange finishing at 7 under, Jay Haas 11 under, and a tie for third.
This putt really doesn't do anything. We've seen it miss left, mean right, and I think what they're reading in different breaks, I think it's just about dead straight.
Good way to finish.
About like that, I'd say.
Closing round 73. He says, where was that all day? It's tough for Scott, though. Every time he comes back here, he has to face the questions again of 89.
You don't forget those things. You come back. Heck, it's 1995. I still think about 56, 60. Watch this. This is just a mirror image of Ben Crenshaw.
And that's the reason why, as you say, one day he seems destined to win a green jacket, at least one. Phil Mickelson, also a closing day 73.
Poor or fair putters cannot win the Masters.
Those two tie for 7th. Steve Elkington has brought it back from 6 under at one time. Now 9.
That's from 140 yards. Spin it left.
Said it was win-win for me today. If I don't claim the golf tournament, at least I'm going home to see my 2-week-old daughter, Annie, back home in Houston.
I really gave Elk a pretty good chance today.
To 17.
Ben Crenshaw with his second shot of 125 yards. Now, I would have to say, Kenny, this is the perfect place to drive it with this pin.
Well, he has to guard against the one thing, as you said, is missing it left, and then, of course, to the right-hand side. But the thing here is you take the bunker out of play and make, that's the first thing you want to do. What club do I need to clear the bunker?
Good shot. Pin high, 12 feet to the left. Still a fast putt coming down that hill, but one certainly that Ben Crenshaw, anybody can handle. Smart play towards the middle of the green. Whole crowd standing here at 17. This man's so well loved by the golfing community. Loves the history of the game, and certainly will be a big part of the history in the game. Ben Crenshaw has played this backside this week without a bogey. 6 birdies so far on this backside. So even though he's made not a big mark on the par 5s, he's played the back 9 flawlessly. Now Brian Henniker with his bunker shot. Well played. About 7 feet from the hole. Freddie Couples and Steve Elkington said in the press conference yesterday about Henagar, he's going to be one of the great young players in the future of this game. Now Crenshaw doing a little house cleaning here. This is going to be a speedy putt. And will break to his right. Now first 18.
Yes, and Elkington for birdie.
get the double figures. Gotta hit it. Gotta hit it.
Another good tournament here to 17.
Ben now discussing the break with his caddy. This would be a wonderful little pad for his one-shot lead. Putt that's going to break to his right and be quick. Must take great care with this putt. Three is great, but four is a must.
Goodness. Ben Crenshaw with a two-shot lead. Just one hole to play. The 1995 Masters.
What a putt. Let's have a look at it again. Look how much this breaks. Perfect roll, perfect speed. Now Henagar for his par to stay at 6 under.
Let's just take one more look at that, Jim. Look at that. Dead center.
And he arrives at the 18th tee, knowing all it takes is a 5 to win the Masters. How do you play it from here?
Right now, you know, you say, well, how, you know, 2 shots is so much better than 1. 2 shots at the last hole on this hole is so much better because now he's freer because he can make a mistake and still win. 1 shot would have been very difficult, but the amazing thing is that he's not had a bogey on the back 9 all week. And I'll tell you what, it's just with that putting stroke, you just can't be far away. I mean, the putts he made are just the putt at 13 and the putt that stayed out at 14. And then the pressure putt at 16, and then look at this one at 17 with that break. I mean, that's masterful. That really is.
Don't forget, he walked off 15 disappointed, and I'm sure saw the board. Davis had finished, and he knew he was in a tie and had to go the rest of the way to beat that number.
Just keep the bunkers out of play, Ben. That's all you have to do. Left to right, or even leave it short of it, but just keep the bunker out of play.
They love it. And here's why.
He did exactly the way you're supposed to do it, right off the blueprint with a 2-shot lead.
Think there's going to be a little emotion in this walk up the 18th?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a popular victory. There's no doubt. I don't know if anybody's ever said anything bad about Ben Crenshaw in his life.
You can't. Brian Henagar.
In the bunker.
Will walk it in. Ben Crenshaw on his final hole in quest of a second green jacket. Ben Crenshaw, 43 years old, from Austin, Texas. He won here in 1984, topping Tom Watson that year. Two-shot lead on the 18th. Carl Jackson carrying the bag as he did in victory back in '84. Jackson, a caddy here at Augusta National.
I can't say enough about that shot he played at 16, Jim. I think it parlayed the birdie at 17. I don't want to say I wouldn't do it, but the birdie produced the birdie at 17.
Well, how hard is that after you've parred 15, which is disappointing, and you know now that a number like 13 under has been posted? You have 16, 17, 18 ahead.
One thing you're thinking about is don't make a bogey. The worst you can do is get a playoff, but just keep it in play and be smart. And when he hit the shot at 16 and just curved it just perfect and hit the slope and back around, it was his finest shot I think he will admit that he ever hit.
Again, he always brings this man back, believing so much in tradition.
He's 145, and I believe he will be taking an 8-iron. If I had a suggestion, and I would say I don't expect this to be left of the flag, and I don't expect it to be short. I expect it to be right and a little bit long.
Not quite ready. Good lesson there. Always go back and visualize the shot. Get the routine from the start again.
He's not putting the pin into play because there's been players that missed this green on the left and took 6. So fat side of the green, Ben, and it's all yours. Well, that's a little fatter than he wanted. But that's the privilege of having a 2-shot lead. That's what I mean. You can afford to make that mistake and still win the tournament.
You know you can make 5 from there.
You bet you can, especially him. But I mean, that's what you have to. He took out everything that was possible. He did not leave the bunker in front or on the left that would give him a possibility of anywhere of making 6.
What do you think Henagar takes away from this today?
He'll take away a lot of tradition. He'll take away a lot of experience. He'll take away a lot of pride of playing with Ben Crenshaw and being in the final group and being applauded coming to this final green. If you can't learn it at Augusta, you just can't learn. I was proud of him when he started off on Thursday bogeying 4 out of the first 5 holes and then winds up leading going into the final round. That deserves a lot of credit.
130 away.
Picked it nice and clean. Very nice. Didn't even move the sand. Very well done. He didn't move a grain of sand with that shot.
Well, Ben said last night if he'd had the chance to talk to Harvey Penick on the eve of this final round, Harvey would tell him, trust your swing, trust your judgment, and play hard and hope for the best.
What he's saying to himself right now is keep your composure. Keep your composure, and it's difficult for him right now.
Kenny, he's been fighting back the emotions and the tears all week.
I think Harvey Penick was standing next to the tree at 14 when it hit the tree and kicked it back towards the fairway. never, ever forget that applause coming up 18 if you've ever experienced it.
Well, he really faces one little test here.
Now, the thing that I'm looking at here, if I was in this position, I would think of putting it, because if you catch it fat or heavy, I would take some. I wouldn't take any loft here. I don't want any loft on this. I want something bump and running. I don't want a wedge in my hand here.
He's going to chip it.
He's going to play it up to the right, give it the fat side of it, but it's not going to get very high off the ground. Bump and run. Slow down. He's taken all the high sides. He's taken everything in it where he has bogey, can win, and he's playing it. He's almost played the hole. The worst he's going to make is 5, and that's very smart golf. The privilege of 2 shots with 1 hole to play.
It's also something you learn in 24 Masters. Playing the percentages all the way up the 18th. Brian Henagar has not for birdie, but Crenshaw knows now, just 2 putts away.
Has not had a birdie all day. Brian has had 3. He has had 4 bogeys: 2, 3, 7, and 16.
Currently in a tie for 10th. Top 24 here get invited back next year. Everyone at 2 under or better finished in the top 24.
He'll go ahead and putt that out. There's the winner of the tournament, and then there's another one to make the top 24 to make sure that you will be back to the Masters.
Well, he qualified, did Henagar, by winning what they call the Mississippi Masters last year outside of Jackson, Mississippi. First time that tournament got you a spot into the Masters. And what a first time visit here for Brian Henagar. Finishing in a tie for 10th. Earning a trip back for next year.
Well, he'll take a good look at this, but let me just give you one word of advice. This will not be going very fast when it gets to the hole. I don't expect this to get past the hole. It may be a few inches, but I'm going to tell you this. This will be. I've seen this putt today that if you hit it hard, it'll go way by, but. You just say to yourself, you know, 5 wins. If it goes in, fine. I don't like to end with a bogey. I'd like to make a par and go out on a high note, but 5 still wins.
What an incredible scene here. So many, so silent.
A little farther by than he'd like. That's how fast it is.
You see how fast that putt moves once it gets past the hole. He'll mark it. Hold his breath for a moment. Ben Crenshaw has won the Masters for a 2nd time. He'd been holding back the emotion, keeping them in check all week until now. No greater tribute to the man he loved, Harvey Penick, than this victory today.
That picture speaks for itself.
What more can you say?
Ben Crenshaw is the 1995 Masters champion, and the green jacket to be presented in a moment.
Frank, I'll stay here, okay?
And welcome to the Butler Cabin, everybody. I'm joined by Joe Ford, the Vice Chairman of the Augusta National Golf Club. And Mr. Ford, I know how important the amateur is to the membership at Augusta National, part of the rich tradition and heritage introduced by Bobby Jones. And we have with us the only amateur to make the cut in this year's tournament, Tiger Woods, and he finished his outstanding play here with a round of 72 today, birding 3 of the final 4 holes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Tiger, it is traditional that amateurs play in the Masters, and we congratulate you for your showing at this tournament. What experiences will you take with you from your first Masters?
Well, it's been a fabulous week. I've been able to play with some of the greatest players in the world here. I played a practice round with Nick Faldo, Greg Norman, Nick Price, Raymond Floyd, Fred Couples, and I got to play the par 3 contest with Gary Player. And I really found out how good these guys really are.
Well, we think you'll be among the great in the future, too.
Hope so.
And we look forward to your playing in future Masters.
Thank you.
Speaking of the immediate future, you're a freshman at Stanford, and everyone wants to know, hey, you can compete with the best players in the world right now. How long will you stay in college?
Well, I'm going to go all 4. There's no hurry to get out here. It's a tough world out here, and it's all business. And right now I'm only 19 years old, and I feel it's right for me to live it up a little bit now. And you're only young once, and college is such a great atmosphere, and I really love it there.
We had to tape this interview after Tiger's round because you want to get back for class tomorrow morning at Stanford.
I don't know about wanting to get back, but I have to get back.
Mom and Dad said get back, right?
Oh, yeah. I have a 9 o'clock class tomorrow in history.
We look forward to seeing Tiger Woods make more history at the Masters.
Thanks.
Great showing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, it all started Thursday. Dreary, wet conditions. But a couple of legends uplifted everyone's spirit, including Arnold Palmer at the 16th. The King, 4-time Masters champion, hit the shot of the day at 16 and made birdie there. How apropos, because earlier in the week, a dedication, a plaque in Arnold's name placed permanently behind the 16th tee. And Jack Nicklaus, speaking of uplifting, an opening round 67. Holing one shot for an eagle on a par 4 and knocking another one close at 14. The 6-time Masters champion, only one back, day 1. Defending champion Jose Maria Olazabal. He chipped in twice on Thursday, including that one at 12. Olazabal, one of 3 leaders with an opening round 66, but the sun broke through on Friday and it was clear sailing the rest of the way, except for a couple of pre-tournament favorites like Ernie Els and Nick Price, who had won the last 2 major championships. Greg Norman made a move Friday with this bunker shot at 13. That was an eagle for the Shark.
Jay Haas. Not since 1990 had anyone shot 64, but Haas equaled that mark and took the lead at the midway point. His old teammate from Wake Forest, Scott Hoch, on his heels, though. On a string, he backed it in for eagle at 13. Also making their move toward the top, Ben Crenshaw and Nick Faldo, a couple of former Masters champions. Then we reach Saturday. Everyone knows it as moving day. The course, the color in full bloom, and so too the game of Curtis Strange. A birdie at 14 on his way to 65. But the putt of the day at 14 really belonged to Steve Elkington. Elkington with a second straight 67, and he climbed within one of the lead at the 54-hole mark. And then there was 92 champion Fred Couples hitting iron shots like this that brought the crowd to its feet. Then we found out about a Masters rookie, the gutsy Brian Henagar. This at 16. He said it brought back memories of 75 and Nicklaus. The bear was with me when I made that putt, he said. Ben Crenshaw, spotless on Saturday, without a bogey on the card. He shot 69 to join Henagar at the top of the leaderboard. And this was the shot that defined Ben's third round. Today, day 4. You knew something special was brewing. Greg Norman out ahead of the last group at 10, chipping in for birdie. He was playing with Davis Love III, who would fire the lowest round on Sunday, a 66, thanks to efforts like this. Love posted a score of 13 under as Crenshaw reached the 16th tee and hit the shot that probably will define the 1995 Masters. From there, with his golden touch, he would make birdie. And now with a one-shot lead, he came to the 17th, looking for one more. To close it out at 18. Fighting back the tears. A man triumphant on golf's greatest stage. Ben Crenshaw working his way to the Butler cabin, where shortly he will receive his second green jacket. Again, Mr. Ford from the club alongside the vice chairman of the Augusta National Golf Club. And Mr. Ford, we've been joined here by the 1994 champion Jose Maria Olazabal. You put up a strong showing on Thursday with a 66, and you know, at that point, I know it's not easy to repeat here, but you had a great return visit to Augusta National.
Yeah, I did have a great round on Thursday, and after that, I think I ran out of gas. I couldn't make any putts, and my tee shots on Friday were not all that great. And but it has been a great week anyway to be back here, and brought me great memories from last year, and it's always nice to be here.
I know watching you look at those highlights, it's emotional just seeing Ben win it, being a player, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very emotional, especially knowing after what he has been through this week, and it's really nice to see that.
Well, Ben Crenshaw.
Ben, congratulations. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Jose. I
Great
appreciate
playing
it.
there.
Thank you.
I know Mr. Ford has some questions for you, and congratulations also.
Thank you.
Ben, congratulations to you. I know it's been an emotional week for you. What does this win mean for you in the 1995 Masters?
Joe, I don't know how I got through this week. It was an emotional week. I owe so much credit to Carl Jackson. I'm telling you, he got me swinging well in the practice rounds, and he made just a couple of suggestions. But I mean, I think so many times here at Augusta, you feel blessed. I got those feelings yesterday, and I was hoping to stay together, but I had a 15th club in the bag this week, and that was Harvey Penick, and I don't know. I don't know how I got through the tournament. I really don't, but I just tried to play as hard as I could.
I know earlier this week that when you found out about the loss of Mr. Penick, you commented that he would watch this year's Masters with Bob Jones, and you put on a great show for them.
Well, I think we were lucky to have him a long time in golf, and I think all of his pupils are at least try to be better people from his example, but I'll never know how I got through. I really don't. I mean, that's obviously the best golf I've played in a long time. I really didn't come into here playing that well. My confidence was low. But this place charges me up like nothing.
Well, your putting turned out great today.
It did. I wasn't quite as sharp, you know, with my irons are off the tee, but I made some when I had to. And
tell us about your shot at 16.
It felt like a perfect 6-iron to me. And I just wanted to hit it just to the right, and it just had the most beautiful draw to it. And I was hoping it wouldn't skip too far up the green like I saw it. But once I saw it got to the top and then going back down, I knew it was going to have a nice putt at it. So I just needed to make solid contact with that one, about a left center putt. And I needed that one. It was a good solid putt on the left edge. And then you know, something, I didn't look at a board until 15. I've never done that. It's taken me 43 years to learn not to look at a board, I guess. But I knew how things had finished. I knew that Davis, my good friend, had finished 13, and I was just a lot luckier than everybody else. That's all there is to it.
Well, we saw how hard it was just to keep your composure walking up the 18th bin.
Oh.
And now, on this special dedication, this second green jacket, it's time to slip on the coat.
Jose Maria, thank you for being a great champion for us, and will you present Ben with his jacket?
Of course, it will be a great pleasure for me. Yeah, Ben.
Thank you, Jose. I appreciate it. Oh. Feels good to get
Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you.
You deserve it.
I appreciate it.
How sweet it feels.
Great, Ben.
Thank you, Joe.
There's no man who appreciates the history of this game more than Ben Crenshaw. And today he adds to his history. He's won a second green jacket. It's been an emotional week here in Augusta, Georgia. In the golfing world, and their heart goes out to Ben Crenshaw, winning the Masters for the second time on April the 9th, 1995.